Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's special CNCF TAG Environmental Sustainability meeting. I'm already sharing my screen. So today we talk about, just to get like an overview about the tag. We don't have a lot of attendees in this meeting. So if there is somebody that is watching the recording and has any questions, we have a Slack channel, TAG Environmental Sustainability, where you can also ask questions if you have any. One note before we get started. So this is a community meeting, so it falls under CNCF Code of Conduct, which can be summarized to be just awesome people. And with this, so I have a couple of slides, and we have these kinds of meetings, getting started meetings every couple of months after like a major conference, and we are changing the slides a bit. So this is the only slide where there's like a little bit more text, which I know is maybe not the best, but just to get like the point across, what are we doing? So TAG stands for Technical Advisory Group. And there's like another slide after this one where we also have like the structures, but we are like an extension of the TOC, Technical Oversight Committee. And the Technical Oversight Committee reviews projects, approves projects into the CNCF. Projects then apply to sandbox, to incubation and graduation. And also we need to make sure that these projects are maintained and evolve over the time. So in the beginning of the CNCF, there was like the TUC, but as we all know, the CNCF and all the projects are quite large. We have hundreds of projects. A couple of years ago, there was like the decision to support the TUCs with special groups, technical advisory groups, which are kind of split by domain. So you have a couple of tags, tag security, network, app delivery, runtime, and so on. And they all sort of try to engage with projects in their field and try to mature their space, try to understand, okay, what is like the next thing in terms of security and cloud native and so on. And some of these tags also have like special sort of services, so to say, which is, for example, like contributor experience, reviews the governance and the structures of open source projects and try to help them sort of reach like the next maturity stage. It's not like simple to organize like an open source project maintained by volunteers. So for example, they help with this. And we also have a working group, which I will get into in a second, which is about reviewing the sustainability footprint. Right. So TAG stands for Technical Oversight Advisory Group, not Oversight Committee, Advisory Group. Right. And this is sort of like the structure which we have in the tag. And you find like a similar or the same structure across all the tags. We are right now like working with the TOC to sort of have like a similar approach in terms of roles and leadership across all tags, because every tag has like their own flavor a little bit, but for the most part, there are chairs and tech leads and working group leads and working group tech leads and project leads and so on, which is just helps us to sort of, we need to have for different kinds of projects ownership. So people actually feel like obligated to contribute. And it's also a matter of, growing as a contributor and growing into more responsibility in the community. So we need some kind of structures, but these are all volunteers. So, right, in a couple of phases. So it would be also interesting maybe to have like another slide of these where you can see like over the last 2 years how this changed. So now we have quite a few people into leadership roles where they are just feeling obligated to move, for example, I don't know, that we publish blog posts about sustainability, that we have social media presence, so and so on and so forth, or that there's like somebody who is also looking into when we are at KubeCon, for example, that there's like a meetup happening so that we all can come together and talk about this, or that we reach out to other projects and know, okay, what is the, I don't know, Green Software Foundation talking about and so on. So quite a few people. And especially this year, we have started projects. So most of the things that you can see on like the lower side, Project Green Scraper, Cloud Native Sustainability Week, and so on. Some of these were kind of also already been worked on last year, but we started to have like a proper structure so they can also. So, for example, if you're like very interested in observability and cloud native sustainability, it's easy to kind of drive this if you like, and to start this and so on. So this is kind of the idea of having projects. It's like a time capped thing where, for example, at the end we write a white paper or something. Um, so the first working group is Green Reviews. We started the working group last summer. And this group is about assessing this cloud native sustainability footprint of CNCF projects. So it's basically about, okay, we would like to measure energy. We would like to measure how, for example, the consumption changes based on different environments you deploy the application to. So for example, I don't know, different applications can be deployed in multiple different ways, right? Ambient mesh, whatever, with Istio, where you cannot enable this feature, for example. So how does this change in terms of energy consumption? How can you maybe also, do you understand the energy footprint and so on? And then if you would like to map it uh, to other metrics, so for example, there's the SEI score and so on. So assessing all these metrics, collecting all these metrics, and then calculating these based on release and exposing this information to the maintainer so they can just have like knowledge about changes which are happening from release to release, so they can adjust their strategy if they like. So this is basically like the overall idea of green reviews. We are working on the first project, Falco, and we are already have like an infrastructure where we measure all kinds of metrics based on Kepler. And we are working on sort of making this entire automation of automatically pulling releases when they happen, having different kinds of benchmarking scenarios, also benchmarking based on their own tests. So if these projects have like already load tests, for example, that we can just reuse maybe for benchmarking. So this is basically what we're working on. And there's also a Slack channel next to the main one. So if you're interested in this group, they have a meeting actually, I think, right after this one. So in like 45 minutes. So if you are interested in more technical work, there's a bunch of stuff where you can contribute to if you like. Maybe after I'm done with the slides, I mean, if you have like any questions, just raise your hand or whatever. But after these slides, which should not take too much time, but then I can also make like a quick round of introductions. We just had like one person at the start. Now we have a couple of more, so maybe it makes more sense to do it. All right. Let's move to the next one. Communications. So the communications working group is split into sub-teams. So we have different kinds of things: website, blogs, events, contributor experience, and social media, which are all like very important. And we have dedicated leads, or we are looking for leads for these types of things, because at the end, one major part of the tag is that we also connect with the community. As a community group, we need to stay in touch. We need to share stories that we learn in the community. We need to understand how can you, for example, configure project X in a certain way, or why would you maybe choose in certain scenarios Linkerd over Cilium Mesh or whatever. So just telling these stories, engaging with maintainers, writing blog posts, having a website which represents the tag is basically what this working group is about. So there's a lot of like smaller things. Actually, like a lot of work is going into this working group. So if you are interested in more, I mean, some parts are also technical. So if we look at the website, we have like, for example, like one project which is right now about scraping from all kinds of websites, information about meetups and talks and events and so on. So basically having just like a big list of all kinds of cloud native sustainability related talks and events. So scraping this information and then just putting this information on the website is, for example, like a technical topic, but for the most part, this is obviously less technical, but and more like engaging with the community. For example, like organizing the Cloud Native Sustainability Week. In this week, again, technical discussions happens, but the overall organization is not so technical, right? So depending like what you are looking for, this, for example, is less technical. The first working group, a lot more technical depth is required to make it happen. Right, and then we have a couple of projects. The first one is about to start. It's about user stories. It's about collecting, for example, the experiences or basically the current approach that certain adopters from cloud native technology have in terms of cloud native sustainability. So, for example, CERN, they had like a research group last summer, and they looked for a couple of months into energy and their data centers, and they have crazy amounts of data centers and a lot of data, and just sharing their story and also exploring what their plans are going forward, what their output is basically what this first project is about. So we engage with organizations, with companies, and just write a blog post about them, or they write it, and we kind of just manage it, sort of. So telling the stories is the first one. The second one is Learning Path, which is like a project which we thought about like in the beginning of creating the tag. But we started it a couple of months ago and it's going okay. We need a little bit more like engagement. But this is about just outlining also some kind of blog post, or maybe this can also be part of the website. So what if you're interested into cloud native sustainability and you have no idea what is it about? So where do you start? And this is basically just like the idea of, hey, what is cloud native? How does it fit with sustainability? Why is sustainability in the cloud very like, important? Why would you care about it? How can you make like the first steps into your cloud native journey and so on? I think like another very interesting project. The third one, I already talked about this briefly, is a green scraper. So we scrape all the information from event pages. So if you're interested in, I don't know, certain talks that you have just like a big list or like a catalog where you can look into, and then you have the link to recordings if they're available, for example. So this, I think, like a smaller project, but could be nice, I think. The fourth one, landscape document. So we already have like a landscape document. So this is not the CNCF landscape document, but we have like one which is like a markdown file. I don't know how many pages, quite large, which lists like all kinds of tools. different organizations, also what you can do in the cloud native space. So, for example, like in terms of scheduling, scaling, and tuning, and so on, and how certain tools assess these problems. So this is like the landscape document, and we are currently rewriting it, but this takes quite a bit of time. So if you're interested in this work, it would be your input would be great. Also, in terms of just reviewing, does it make sense? It's like maybe if you're new to this field, your input could be very relevant to this one, and also the learning path, of course, because the landscape document also is targeted to people that maybe don't know all the tools already, right? So if you know all the tools already, you probably maybe don't need the landscape document so much. So exploring the landscape, so this perspective would be very nice. The next one is Cloud Native Sustainability Week. So you may have heard about this last year already. So we organized a bunch of events. At the end, it was 22 events in, I don't know, 16 or 18 countries, which happened for the most part all in the second week of October. So it was like a huge success. We had like thousands of also viewers online, and we had like a virtual mini conference and so on. And we try to do the same thing, maybe uh, do some new things, kind of advance the program a little bit, but at the end, like organize something similar this year again, because it was a great event last year, and we should keep doing the good things, right? So this project is about just organizing the event, also enhancing sort of the program which we already have, and yeah, engaging with a lot of local communities. So we have also this year, hopefully, a couple of events in Africa, some parts of Africa, or maybe a little bit more. So, like in South America or some regions which are maybe not as represented as, for example, the United States or some other countries which are, or in Europe, which are very strong already in terms of cloud native and sustainability. So, hopefully, bringing this like to a global scale, because this was always the idea, talking about this global problem also in a global community. So supporting all these, pushing this story in all communities around the globe. Right. And the last one is about Kubernetes. So we all know this is sort of like the cornerstone of our field. So looking into um, patterns and best practices, Kubernetes and cloud native is, I think, like an obvious thing which we need to look into, but it's also very important. I mean, so many adopters, so many companies are using Kubernetes. If they have some guidelines, or if we start thinking about some guidelines, or maybe also looking into how can we enhance Kubernetes in terms of caps, so enhancements to Kubernetes, I think would be very nice. All right. Are there any questions so far? I'm talking too much. Otherwise, we can also do like a very short round of introductions if you like, for everybody attending this meeting. So, and also maybe if which part of the tag you're interested in, and if you have like any questions. Um, right.
Hey,
So
thanks to you for the introduction, for all this talk.
I have
There's
a
no,
couple of more slides, but these are more about like getting started as a contributor. So if you like, you can introduce yourself, Nandish.
yeah, sure. So basically, I have an experience of around 15 years in the IT industry, and I predominantly have worked, started with my career towards functional testing, and currently I'm working as a test architect in HCL software, and my experience is towards resiliency testing in the cloud mature to find out the cloud maturity model of any given application. That's chaos testing, to summarize it. And as well as I've also worked on extensively in the accessibility testing as well. uh, these are all my uh, USBs, which I have gained from past 15 years. Mainly looking out to contribute in Kubernetes best practices, and then the Greenscaper project which you mentioned. Anything related to testing, or I do have experience in automation like Selenium, Playwright, and any kind of automation. I do have some experience. So that's about me.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, there's also, if I don't know, did you check out the working group Green Reviews? Because it's also, they have a bunch of technical automation challenges. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but yeah.
Oh, work. It's been like I think probably not even a week. I'm just getting to understand
Ah,
uh,
okay.
some of the things.
So if
I
you, sorry, go ahead.
uh, I'm trying to plug in initially right now. So uh, I'm basically, this is my second meeting, so I'm losing out on some of the context as well.
Yeah,
So it will take some time for
yeah,
me, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean, those two projects, I mean, would be great if you have some time to check it out. There's for the green reviews. No, not the green reviews. The green scraper one we already have. I think you joined also the meeting on Monday, right? So you have like some idea, right?
Yes.
So there's like some code already, and so I think it's like a time capped sort of thing. It's like not something which will run for half a year, I think, which is good. So quick win, hopefully. All right. I also see Mauro wrote something in chat. They're in a coffee shop, which is quite loud. So
Do you guys hear
interesting.
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, because my Google Calendar somehow moved the meeting 1 hour later. So I'm doing right now my groceries, but I can do a short introduction. So I really want to be involved more in the sustainability, or well, in the CNCF tag environment work groups. I'm currently more focused on the user stories on the sustainability week, and probably the best practice for Kubernetes will take a few weeks longer because I'm trying to create a group internal in our company to really focus on this. And before I want to do anything on GitHub, I first wanted to discuss things with them. Introduction about myself. So um, I'm 20 years in software development, currently a solution architect, and I'm co host of the Green Software at the Netherlands. So I'm really focused on sustainability. And yeah, that's kind of, I think, my main bio at this point. And living in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good to see you also in this meeting.
Yeah, I'm
um,
probably gonna hang in a lot of meetings in the coming months.
yeah. I mean, usually we always meet like at 5. So it's like in half an hour. But yeah, because this time slot is already blocked, we had like this special meeting now an hour earlier. So all right. All right. I also see Christopher. Not sure. Would you like to?
Yeah, sorry, my connection just dropped for a moment.
Yeah.
Um,
No
so
worries.
um, my name is Christopher. I'm working as a freelancer. I'm mostly working in the infrastructure bit, so mostly setting up Kubernetes clusters and maintaining them, or in a more classical environment, doing something without Kubernetes. I'm mostly interested in the entire sustainability bit on computer infrastructure and seeing which way I can first of all contribute into the tag and see if then also I can use the experience in my own service offering, so I can actually also help people to have their infrastructure in a more sustainable way. I think that's the most important bit of what I would like, or what I'm currently looking into.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, the landscape document might be of interest to you because we are talking about all kinds of different tools and how they fit together, and just to get like an overview about the field. Or, I
That
mean,
would already be very, that
yeah.
would be very handy indeed, because I'm currently also looking into how can I measure CO2 being used by infrastructure or just power at all, to then also starting to make everything measurable. That's I
Mm,
think that's the first step I'm currently looking into for my own infrastructure and for the projects I'm setting up myself.
yeah. Or, I mean, user stories could maybe, I mean, at the end, all of these projects go in this direction, right? So, yeah, I would just probably, I mean, there's like the landscape document, for example, needs quite a bit of help. So this would be maybe like a good fit. I don't know. Feel free to check it out. And
I mean, yeah, I really hope that that can evolve in coming weeks because we are on the, how do you say it, as a software development company, we are not infrastructure platform engineer, but we often work with kind of Kubernetes or related software. So I'm really looking for the, how do you say it, connecting the dots, because
Mhm.
I believe we often use a lot of products, but not really are aware of it, that it is in the complete CNCF portfolio. You would you would say it in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. All right. Sounds great. Then let me go to the next couple of slides. So I think it's like just 2 or 3 slides. So I think I'm not sure, but I think most of us kind of know how to get started contributing to open source. So it's quite kind of different thing than just writing software in like a regular setting, because you have like this community aspect. It's very much self-driven. Nobody really tells you to do stuff. At the end, everybody does this like on a volunteering basis. At the end, if you're like taking responsibility, then this changes maybe a bit, but not too much. Because then you kind of signed up to, for example, join every couple of meetings to give a status about the project, for example. But for the most part, everything is very much self-driven. You need to attend. Nobody really tells you to attend. Nobody really tells you which issues you should pick up. You kind of need to manage this on your own. But the nice thing about open source is there's a lot of nice things about it that you can contribute, of course, like to projects like Kubernetes or any other CNCF project, which at the end you can adopt again in your company, or other companies adopt. So sharing software, I think sharing libraries, sharing programming code, right? But sharing also software, all the tools, and sort of also making like an ecosystem where it just, for example, makes sense to extend Kubernetes with other projects if you have like certain things. So all of this is done in open source, and it would not work the same way if you just have like a service offering from a company. So I think open source is something which you cannot really get rid of, and you also don't want to get rid of in modern or current and future software development. So understanding how it works, understanding sort of where the projects are coming from, I think it's a very good skill to have. Also engaging with the community is not bad. And
can I ask a
yeah,
question, or is it okay?
yeah.
So
100%.
related to this topic, I was missing, and maybe it should be a separate thing, but Kepler, because that is one of the things that probably not in the short term, but that is also kind of an important thing, right? Measuring in Kubernetes the
Right. Yeah. 100%.
stuff. And, yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's maybe also something that we can push a little bit more. Also in the tag, like these kinds of projects, and just also engaging contributors more into these projects. So the Kepler community, probably most of us know what the project is about. It's about measuring the energy consumption in a Kubernetes cluster. You can measure it from pods and nodes. And these projects, you can they have like awesome meetings where they sync every week, I think, about features and so on and issues. And then they plan the roadmap, plan to how to enhance Kepler. There are quite a few things how to advance the project. It's not as mature as something as Kubernetes, where you have like small additions, but everything kind of stays the same for the most part. I think Kepler is very much like in a sandbox stage where things can change quite a bit in the next half year, and so on. So this would be another like very good project to engage with. Right. So there's like a bunch of stuff, different kinds of contributions, which are all very valuable. And at the end, all of this needs to come together sort of to make a community work. Also guidelines, refactoring, all kinds of different stuff. It's not just coding. It's not just talking with people. It's not just writing blog posts, but it's like everything together. And if you make all of this good, if you don't forget about communication with the community, but you also don't forget about writing actually code and building a project like Kepler, then you're set up for success. And we have, as I said, like before, there's technical things and less technical things in the tag. So you can experiment also with your own skill set. So if you maybe have not written blog posts too much, this is like a good space to contribute, and there are people to review this the contribution. So you can also experiment and maybe develop new skills, and then you can go back to your employer or to your customer and say that you have like certain skills because you are now a lead and wrote this landscape document, for example, or whatever it may be. Right. I think I will skip over this a bit. So we have, and I can send the link if somebody likes. So we have like a document which lays out if you would like to grow into a leadership position, if you would like to steer some things. There's like a blog post kind of document which walks through steps. For example, joining a meeting for the first time is like one of the first steps, and then so on. All right. And these are a bunch of links to the calendar, to Slack, to Twitter, and so on. So all kinds of social links and document links. So if you like, you can scan this one. And I can also just share the link in a second. Are there any questions? Anything?
Maybe one thing, you were mentioning that there's another meeting following in 20 minutes. Which one was that?
It's about green reviews, working group green reviews.
Okay, thanks.
So you can also, and this is also linked in the Slack channel, and at the top there's like pinned items or bookmarks or whatever, the calendar. So you You can subscribe to a calendar, but you don't have to. You can also just hold up from time to time and just check out the events. Probably it's also why you end up here, right? So everybody's probably aware. But if not, that's a good link. And right, this one is about the contributor letter. But I'm also thinking about writing maybe a second one, which is targeted more for people that would like to support, but would not like to lead things. Because I think this is like also something for a bunch of people, they would like to contribute, and they also would like to grow contribution and maybe take more responsibility at some point, but they don't really would like to be like a co-chair or tech lead at some point, which is totally, I mean, fine. Most of the contributors just contribute, and this is like the core thing that we do, right? All right. I will stop sharing my screen. All right. Are there anything you would like to talk about before we stop the recording?
No, currently nothing.
What was that? Currently nothing? Or
Yes. No, sorry,
okay,
I don't behind my computer. No, currently nothing. It was not very clear, and I copied it. So thank you.
that's good. Awesome. All right then. So as I said, in 20 minutes there's the working group green reviews meeting. Tomorrow at this time, like in 20 minutes of time, there's the working group comms meeting. And I think that's it for this week. Not sure. All right. I'll stop the recording.